Is it true? Is the market really changing?
Well, indeed, it is.
In this video, we're gonna go over the latest real estate market data for Sarasota County and Charlotte County, and we're getting started right now.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home in the area, make sure to call, text, or email us. I am a local realtor here. My information will be in the description box below.
941-221-1897. You can call or text that number at any time. We hear from people daily. We love it, and we're always gonna have your best interest and happiness in mind when buying or selling a home in the area.
The two counties that we serve are Sarasota County and Charlotte County. In Charlotte County, we have Englewood and Port Charlotte. In Sarasota County, we have Sarasota, Venice, Northport, Nokomis,
Osprey,
yes.
And a couple of random little towns that are kind of basically like the Venice, Sarasota area, like in between. But should we start with some data for the Sarasota County, because that's like the main area we mainly do outside of Englewood and Charlotte, which is just part of Charlotte County.
Yes, and Englewood is actually part of it. It's Charlotte County, and part of it is Sarasota County. So we wanted to give you a little bit of data on Charlotte County as well, so that you can see the difference between Sarasota and Charlotte County.
As we're filming this, we're about a month after Hurricane Ian, and you're definitely gonna see this first piece of data reflect that, and it's the new listings. I mean, they fell off of a cliff.
Yes.
I mean, year over year, any way you want to slice it, new listing data, just week over week, it's down dramatically.
And this is in Sarasota County.
And then also in Charlotte County, it took
Even
a more significant drop. They got hit harder, further south of the Venice area, which is kind of like the end of Sarasota County, outside of that little chunk in the northern part of Englewood. But I mean, that went straight down.
And a lot of that, I think it's because it's not a good idea to put up a home on the market right after a hurricane. Like, who wants to do that, right? People are thinking about the hurricane, what just happened. It's just not a good idea to put it up for sale right away. And then another thing is too that maybe some of those homes got damaged and the seller decided to pull them off the market, make some improvements, and then we're going to probably see an uptick in inventory again once those homes are ready. And it's taking quite a while for contractors to even get out and do estimates and things like that. So we probably won't see an uptick in inventory, I would say, for the next month or two. Yeah. Maybe after 2 months we'll start to see that again. Pending sales also dropped in Sarasota County, as it's down 68% year over year. And the same thing happened in Charlotte County.
That's down 74% year over year. So again, even bigger. But pending home sales are gonna go down when you have a hurricane hit. Less people are putting listings out. And on top of that, I'm sure there was some that maybe were mid-sale and then the hurricane hit, and then it's like, okay, well, we're not doing that anymore.
And also, we experienced this. I had people reaching out to me that I didn't know were reaching out, like interested in buying property. They didn't know we were in the affected area. So I'm sure a lot of realtors had that same problem. No cell phone, no power, no internet. So we weren't able to do our jobs because of that. So that also, I think, had a little bit to do with the decline.
Yeah, basically put everything on pause in a lot of ways, not just the houses themselves, but just people being able to communicate to sell those houses.
And there are still some areas that don't have power.
Homes off market is still down overall. If you look over the graph, the black line is the graph for the last year, but it's kind of stayed steady the last couple weeks here. Year over year, it kind of made a little dip up in Sarasota County.
And down 33.6% in Charlotte County.
And again, that's a good indicator that places are on the market a little bit longer. It's starting to cool things down, giving people a little more options. If a place has been on the market over 2 weeks, there's a little more room for maybe negotiation, asking for things to be repaired before you buy it. People can actually feel comfortable requesting to do an inspection, stuff that is probably a good idea.
Homes sold in Sarasota County declined to 43.5% year over year.
And in Charlotte County, down 64% year over year. Again, a lot of that I think is just going to come back to the same reasons that we've talked about. Nor need to really go into a lot of depth, because hurricane's going to hurricane. Now, here's where things are starting to get a little more tricky, because if you look at the graph, it went up over the last year, kind of came to a peak, and then it looked like it was on its way down, but the last 2 or 3 weeks now, it's kind of going back up for the median sale home price. Right now we're at $470,248, which is up 15.55% year over year.
And for Charlotte County, it's up 19.34%.
And as you can see, that's kind of steadily been going up. There's a little dip about, in July 11th, and then it kind of went right back up, and it seems like it's kind of flattening out a little bit, but overall still up from the beginning of the year. So I guess we'll see how that area plays out. And then the median sale price, that's really interesting in Sarasota, because it was going up till, let's see, about May. And then it kind of started flattening out, and then a couple months later dipped in July, and now it's like coming back up with a vengeance. It's as high as ever right now, and the median sale price is $491,000. That's up 26% year over year. So like we always say in the videos, like, our market is not necessarily the same as all other markets. Every market's going to be different, but I mean, everyone's saying how the market's crashing, things are cooling off, and we are seeing a few indicators of that here, but at the same time, prices are still up.
Going up. And for Charlotte County, it's a little more flat, pretty steady. The year-over-year percentage is up 18%.
And the median sale price there is $375,000. So as you can see, a little bit cheaper there than Sarasota County, which is $491,000. I mean, a lot of that probably plays into the fact that you have Sarasota. That's higher value, and even like Venice compared to Englewood or Port Charlotte is going to be a little bit more pricey.
We also have Welland Park in Sarasota County, so that also skews the numbers up a little bit more.
Yeah, quite a bit probably, actually. I mean, all new construction, very nice new gated communities.
But the age of inventory in days is 65.2 days, and year over year, that percentage is 30.2. So this is up 30.2 days year over year.
And we actually had to double check. We're like, are we reading this data right? Like 60.2 days or 65.2 days sounds like a lot, because places were flying like literally it wouldn't be on the MLS and it's already sold. So we looked at the data, and I mean, before it was like 18.6 days, which includes, you know, the time to close and all that stuff, which 18.6 days is crazy fast. So 65.2 days is actually a pretty more comforting number, I guess you could say. I mean, gives people a little bit of breathing room.
And you have to take into account too that a lot of our deals were cash sales. That's why you were able to close in a cash sale. You can close in as little as 2 weeks.
And then in Charlotte County, up even higher, so a little more opportunity there for, you know, probably inventory, negotiation, just options to pick from. And their inventory age on average right now is 72.8 days, so quite a bit higher than Sarasota. Again, that's pretty similar how much it's up year over year, which is at 30.3. At the lowest point, it was about 26.7 days.
And one of the biggest and most important numbers is the weeks of supply of inventory. So for Sarasota County, we have 17.8 weeks of supply. That's up 12.2 weeks year over year. It went up significantly in September, and it has flattened out since then.
But that is a pretty big jump, and again, good to see. As she always says, a healthy inventory is about 3 to 6 months of inventory. So at 17.8 weeks, so that's up to about 4 months, give or take. Depends, I guess. Most months have about 4 weeks in them.
And just keep in mind too that some homes will sell quickly. We're still experiencing this where some homes hit the market and they're sold right, they sell right away. So yes, the data is important to look at, but it's also very dependent on the area, the neighborhood, things like that.
And Charlotte County, I mean, look at this. This is insane. The line just goes literally almost straight up. September 12th. And right now it looks like it might be veering towards flattening out a little bit, but the weeks of supply is 37.5 weeks of supply. Year over year, that's up 30.3 weeks. That is just an insane jump. And again, I think that has a lot to do with the hurricane. I mean, it all pretty much happened right around that time when that line goes up. So I think part of that is places are just going to sit on the market for a little while things are getting repaired and things like that. But here's our thoughts on what we think is going to happen.
We think there will be a price correction. We have already started to see it. We don't believe there's going to be a crash. So I'm sorry to deliver the news for you, those of you who were waiting for a crash. I don't think we're going to see a crash here in Florida, especially not Southwest Florida. I think people are still going to want to retire here and move here, and I just don't see a crash coming, but I do see some sort of a price correction, which again, we have already started to see.
Yeah, I think at the maximum, maybe we'll see like prices dip maybe 20%, which is pretty significant. And I guess it'll really depend, but I think a lot of this, like we've said in other videos, is very dependent on the interest rates. The interest rates being so low for so long is kind of what caused everything to go crazy here. Then the values went up, now the interest rates are up, and I think the interest rates being up is going to cause home prices to come down. But once those interest rates come back down, I think we're going to see some of that demand come right back. Because you're seeing from both the buyer and the seller side right now, like people don't want to sell their home because houses are more expensive, plus the higher interest rate. They got something that maybe they bought, you know, before things went extra crazy on a much lower interest rates, or refinanced to a lower interest rate. It just makes it really hard for anyone to want to list their home. But as we see that inventory build, that'll also help things as well to help cool the market off.
Yes, definitely, and you'll have more opportunity for negotiating, so maybe you won't see prices of a crash, but at least you'll be able to find a home that it's, you know, a better price if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and maybe it'll just make the home buying experience a little more normal, which is a good thing for everyone. Realtors, buyers, sellers, everyone. Well, maybe not sellers, I guess, because I mean, I'm sure
their money
they were loving
quickly,
cashing in.
yeah.
But you know, her being a realtor in the area, a lot of people always say like, "Oh, I bet you love that the prices are so expensive." Like, no, because no one wants to buy anything when they're that crazy, and it just makes everything a lot more stressful for everyone involved.
Also, another thing we're seeing from the ground level is that a lot of builders are actually giving buyers incentives, such as lowering the price on homes that are pretty much move-in ready, maybe a few months before completion. They are also offering to pay for closing costs. Some builders are buying down your interest rate, which, if you're not familiar with that, it's basically if you're approved for a mortgage for 7% interest rate, they will buy 1 or 2 points off of that. So now your interest rate, instead of being 7%, would be 5%. So a lot of builders are doing that as well.
Those are some nice perks, and it's also kind of interesting to see how the coin is flipped.
Yes.
Before, it was like everyone was on these waiting lists. They were having bidding wars for lots. They were having lotteries where they were drafting, you know, names out of a hat, or however they decided to do it to try to like just win the opportunity to buy.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a stark difference, and very, very good to see.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home in the area, make sure to call, text, or email us. I am a local realtor here. My information will be in the description box below.
That's 941-221-1897. You can call or text at any time. We hear from people all the time. We love it, and we're always going to have your best interest and happiness in mind when buying or selling a home in the area. Leave a comment. Let us know what your thoughts are on this data and where you think the market is heading. If you want to know more about what it's like to live in any of the areas that we've been mentioning, we have playlists for each of them in the description down below. If you found the video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on all notifications, and
Live breezy.